just making sure that we're all okay. We're good to go. Good morning. My name is Jeff Casberk. I'm the Vice President of Advocacy and Operations here at the Alberta Motor Association, and we are very pleased to be hosting today's announcement with regards to predatory towing. I'm very pleased to welcome the Honourable Devin Dreeshen, Minister of Transportation and Economic Corridors, to AMA, as well as Superintendent Angela Kemp from the Edmonton Police Service. And to begin us today with today's announcement, I will welcome Minister Dreeshen to the podium.
Well, thank you so much, Jeff. And I guess full disclosure, I am an AMA member. That's not why we obviously chose you here. But it is great to be here at AMA Edmonton South Service Centre to announce steps that our government is taking to stop predatory tow truck driving behavior in Alberta. Now, today I am announcing new rules that will protect Albertans in vulnerable situations from predatory tow truck drivers. Now, unfortunately, there are some dishonest tow truck operators in Alberta. Now, a small number of bad actors are towing vehicles without providing necessary information to vehicle owners and charging excessive fees. They are financially capitalizing on emotionally vulnerable individuals who have been involved in a collision. That's why we will now be requiring tow trucks to stay at least 200 meters away from a collision scene unless instructed otherwise by police or the driver of a damaged vehicle. Now, the changes include a fine of $1,000 to tow truck drivers who enter that exclusionary zone, and that includes dispatchers or others who instruct drivers to cross the exclusionary zone. These changes penalize bad actors in the tow truck industry and shield Albertans from unethical practices. They will also ensure a consistent provincial response to predatory tow truck driving behavior, which will help with insurance premiums from excessive towing fees. Now, collision scenes are obviously chaotic and they're stressful, often leaving drivers disorientated, injured, or worse. The last thing someone needs at a collision scene is to be harassed by dishonest tow truck drivers, pressuring them to agree to towing services. These changes are a first step. The Government of Alberta will continue working with industry and other stakeholders to explore additional solutions to address predatory tow truck driver behavior. And with that, I would like to introduce Angela Kemp, Superintendent for the Edmonton Police Service. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here today. Predatory towing is an issue the EPS takes very seriously. These new offense provisions introduced by the province are another tool to keep our roads safe. In October of 2024, a tow truck operator was charged with theft over $5,000 when they would only release the vehicle after being paid a fee by an insurance company. And then, in May of this year, owners of 10 towing companies were charged with fraud. During this investigation, police discovered that numerous tow truck companies in Edmonton were reportedly fraudulently billing insurance companies for services that were not provided. Police also learned that these companies were allegedly inflating bills, including charges to insurance companies of upwards of over $5,000 for basic collision tows, and this estimated is a typical cost of a few $100,000 during the province of Alberta and affecting drivers in our province. At this time, police estimate that these 10 companies have costs over $200,000 in fees that affect every Albertan and charges to our insurance companies. While our officers are being watching for predatory towing, if you see these actions, they are red flags. You call the police, you let us know what's occurring, and we will be there to help you. Traffic safety has been identified as a top priority for Edmontonians, and it's everyone's responsibility to travel the roads in and around the city with attention and caution. So far this year, Edmonton has seen 21 fatal crashes, and there's also been 75 very serious injury collisions. We are now seeing drivers more and more times traveling at least over 50 kilometers an hour over the posted speed limit, and these are concerns and issues that we need to, as a province and as a city, make sure our drivers are driving more safely. Driving behaviors are dangerous and they can have serious consequences. Again, it is everyone's responsibility to take the safety on the road seriously. Drivers should not have to worry about being taken advantage of by the people who are supposed to show up and help them. And that's when we're talking about tow truck drivers. Please ensure that you are only using the tow truck provider that you have called. And thank you very much for having me here today. I'd like to introduce back to Jeff Kasbrick from AMA.
Hello once again. Thank you very much, Minister, Superintendent. We really appreciate your support with today's announcement, and these are rules which will help protect Albertans. When predatory towing operators arrive uninvited, they not only impact the work of law enforcement and emergency services, but what they also do is they exploit Albertans who are already in stressful enough situations into handing over their vehicles when they simply do not have to. Alberta's towing industry is made up of many long-standing professional and trusted tow operators, including AMA and other companies, many companies of which that are often owned by Albertan families for generations. And they have a reputation for trustworthiness and professionalism. We, in the towing industry, pride ourselves on serving Albertans and being there for them when they need us the most. So these predatory towers are an offense. And we support these clear rules that send a very strong message that predatory practices have no place within our province. AMA has been advocating for these changes, and we are pleased to see this day come. In 2024, we launched our No Before the Tow campaign to educate Albertans about their rights and to also raise awareness about this growing issue. Most importantly, Albertans should know this. They should know that they can refuse any unsolicited towing services, and they can rely upon operators that they know and trust. But we also know that strong education needs to be matched with strong enforcement. We needed clear rules all across the province to stop these practices, and these rules will serve as a very important tool for law enforcement to help stop and crack down on predatory towing operators. At the same time, these changes ensure the continued confidence of Albertans in the many reputable towing operators across the province. Professionals who arrive promptly when called, help drivers in need, prioritize safety, and treat Albertans with the fairness and the respect that they deserve. AMA is proud to be a part of that solution. Our roadside assistance network represents 80% of all private passenger tows in Alberta, rescuing hundreds of thousands of Albertans every single year, and we're honored to have served this province for nearly a century. Today's announcement is a win for Albertans, and we thank Minister Dreeshen for listening, for responding, and for taking definitive action. We look forward to continuing to work with our government to help eliminate this unethical behavior fully and completely. Together, what we are doing is we are ensuring that trust, transparency, and ultimately safety remain the standard on Alberta's roads. Thank you once again for joining us today, and I'll hand it over to Hussam.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go into questions from the media. If you would like to line up behind the mic, right behind you. If you can name yourself, your outlet. One question, one follow-up. Sean, go ahead.
Hi, Sean Amato with City News. Question for you, Minister. Update on the bike lanes as far as Edmonton goes. Have you met with city leadership about bike lanes? And are there some projects or some existing bike lanes that you are particularly concerned about that you want to either stop or have removed in Edmonton?
Yeah, we've seen obviously 132nd Avenue being a really problematic bike lane. Something that, I was shocked when we made the announcement months ago to say that was obviously a problematic area. We've heard, tons of petitions and lots of people have been writing in saying that is a bad 4-lane major thoroughfare that's going to be shrunk in half. And to hear the residents, I did a quick town hall there in that part of Edmonton, and to see what some of the councillors are saying in the media, I thought was pretty glim. Of not listening to those concerns, and to see that project still going ahead is frustrating. So I think that's something that obviously I have a meeting with Mayor Sohi next week to be able to discuss that lane, as well as just the concept of having active transportation on bike routes where they obviously make sense, but not to cannibalize or to take over existing driving lanes that have been here for sometimes over 100 years, which just doesn't make sense. So that's something that obviously, as a growing population, there's more and more drivers in Edmonton every year, and to reduce the road capacity for those vehicles is the opposite of what we're doing as a provincial government when we're investing billions of dollars into adding more roads and more lanes, whether it's on our provincial highway networks or even Terwilliger Drive here in Edmonton, which is a municipal road as well. So it's frustrating to see certain bike lane projects go ahead, but we're continuing the conversations with both Edmonton and Calgary to make sure we can have some sanity when it comes to bike routes instead of bike lanes.
Follow up?
Yeah, it's been a few months now since your government enacted major changes to photo radar in the province. So how is that going? I mean, we've seen some concerns from municipal leaders saying that our streets are not as safe, that people are speeding more because they know they're less likely to get a ticket on the roads. How is that going? And are municipalities starting to apply for additional photo radar sites because they want to bring those back? And your government has said that you'd be open to considering additional sites, correct?
So we have $13 million of provincial funding going to municipalities that ask for it to have re-engineered, redesigned, unsafe intersections. As of today, there hasn't been any applications for that $13 million of provincial funding for municipalities to be able to improve intersections. But we're also obviously working with the police to work on enforcement, and something that, as was just mentioned by Superintendent Kemp here this morning, when it comes to dangerous speeders, that's something that we think the provincial government and the police force in both Edmonton and Calgary can work together on to make sure that we can address those dangerous speeders that are sometimes going around our ring roads, posting about it on TikTok and social media. And we actually have, I'd say stay tuned, we have a campaign that's going out later this month that can really start to hone in on those types of dangerous speeders, which there's obviously zero tolerance for in Alberta.
Thank you, Sean.
Hi, Jasmine King, Global Edmonton. This might be best for Inspector, but I'm not sure who might be best. But I guess just in recent years, what have you really seen in kind of the uptick of these predatory towing practices? And is there anything that you can really attribute this to that, now that's really time to crack down on this?
Unfortunately, I believe that it's something that's been occurring for a long time. I think what's happening in the last few years is that people are now reporting it to the police and to their insurance companies. And now that we're aware of the scope of the problem, we're able to address the issues and work with our partners and address the citizens of Edmonton and Alberta with the known red flags that they should be watching for. So we're hoping through media events like this and other public education campaigns, we'll be able to ensure that people are aware, and then the people who are doing these nefarious acts are aware that the police and other investigative bodies are aware.
And then maybe for Minister Dreeshen, I guess, depending on what happens with these rules that are being introduced now, I mean, if we're still seeing the same amount of practices and things like that, is there anything further that, Albertans could expect?
Yeah, this is a first step. Obviously, we're looking at what other provinces have done when it comes to predatory towing. We've seen in Ontario that they have a code of conduct for their tow truck operators, as well as mandatory certification of drivers, publicly actually posting rates that are being issued. So those are some things that we're looking at as well, and we'll see what happens if we adopt some or any of those in the future.
Thank you. Next question.
Hi, Mernelli with CBC Edmonton. I'm just wondering if I could get any data on the recent trends or reports of people who are, saying that they have been victims of predatory towing.
Unfortunately, just because of the scope of the problem, this really relies upon self-reporting. But what I can share with you is certainly over the last year and a half, what it is that we're hearing is increased incidents of predatory towing. And certainly what it is that we're beginning to hear now are almost daily reports within our towing network of individuals that find themselves broken down on the side of the road or involved in a collision where maybe one or multiple predatory towers are coming towards them. So what I can share with you is this is now becoming something that we're hearing on a daily basis, as well as with increased frequency just over that last year, year and a half. And that's really why we've been working so closely with our partners in law enforcement, as well as our partners with the provincial government, to be making sure that what we're doing is, unlike the experience in other provinces, we are addressing this as proactively and as quickly as we can. And so that's why we really applaud today's announcement. We are the first province to actually have a province-wide exclusion zone under our Traffic Safety Act, which has proven to be effective in some municipalities. And now to see that that welcome mat is being rolled back up across the entire province and every single Albertan is protected is a really powerful message.
I guess to clarify further, like, are we able to get a ballpark? Is it like hundreds of complaints, thousands of complaints?
Well, with some of the daily occurrences that we're hearing, I mean, we're within the hundreds of that we're beginning to see. So it's certainly becoming a bit of a daily incident where we're having members contact us and ask whether or not a tower is endorsed by us, and so that's why it's really important to be getting this message out. And certainly with that increased frequency that I spoke about, also really critical that we be addressing it from all angles, from an enforcement perspective, from a legislative perspective, and also from an education perspective.
Thank you for your question. We're going to go to the next reporter.
Hi, Connor Hogg, CTV News. This is for Minister Dreeshen, but also for everyone else as well. I'm curious if you think that drivers having to tow their cars to one of two collision centers in Edmonton has contributed to this problem of predatory towing in any way, or whether it's alleviated it at all.
Do you want to take that one?
So, Connor, what you're referring to are the collision reporting centers. You know what? I think it would be fair to say that any time that we don't have attending emergency services, whether it's police, fire, or ambulance, it creates perhaps fertile ground for these unethical operators. And so there is a potential factor that is involved with that. However, I would say that it's not the exclusive factor. What we're also really seeing, and I'm certain that the superintendent could speak to it more, is some of these are being brought forward by organized crime. And so there's a number of contributing factors to it, and that's why it's going to take a number of different approaches to ensure that we're addressing it responsibly. But certainly what we want to be doing is making sure that regardless of whether or not emergency services are attending a collision scene, or if it's one that can be reported directly at a collision reporting center, that there's good knowledge about what these rules are.
Did you have a follow-up?
I mean, I'd love to hear from everyone if possible.
That's one way to get around the two-question rule when there's three of us. I would say that we did make changes just recently of the type of accidents that needs to be reported. It was at a $2,000 threshold. We've now increased that to $5,000, so that's obviously would be less towing across the province. But I would say, and to your colleague's previous question, now that we have these rules, I think we'll have a better understanding of the data, because now we'll see more reporting, we'll see more complaints. Albertans will know that they can actually lodge a complaint when these types of unfair practices, rather than just kind of taking it. So I think we'll have better data now that we have rules, which I think will just make our roads that much safer, and people having more confidence in the system.
Thank you.
Yes, we are aware that the City of Edmonton has two collision reporting centers. That was for several reasons. The main issue that we're speaking about is predatory behavior from tow truck drivers. So I can't stress enough that if individuals find themselves in a collision, they must ensure the tow truck driver that they have scheduled or called for is the one that shows up. Unfortunately, the process is with the two collision centers, and that is what we are working with in Edmonton. We have partners that provide that service for the Edmonton Police Service in the reporting of the collision, and also for the province of Alberta. And we just want to make sure that the purpose of today is to ensure that people understand that this behavior does exist, and they have to protect themselves and their families when they are in a collision, and make sure that they are making the right choices and calling the right tow trucks, and the preferably the more legitimate ones to help them out.
Great. Thank you for your question. We're going to go to the operator. please put through our first caller. Please state your name, outlet.
You have a question from Lawrence Teixeira from Radio Canada. Your line is open.
Hi, I would just like to get more information on the involvement of organized crime when it comes to reporting collision. So I don't know, I can't remember who mentioned this, but if we can get a bit more information on that.
So working with our policing partners within Alberta and across the country, we do see a nexus between organized crime and some vehicle crime, and that's revending of vehicles or the use of vehicles for crime, then necessarily linking it to tow truck or predatory tow truck issues isn't very linear, and it's something that once an investigation progresses, if it does come up, it will be investigated by our different and various teams that are investigating organized crime.
Follow up.
Yeah, can you just detail on those 10 companies that were charging fees, fraudulent fees to insurance? Are these companies still in service, and are they all in Edmonton?
The information from the investigation is that they were based out of Edmonton. The matter is before the courts, so I can't comment on those questions. If there are specific follow-up, if you could let our comms know, and then we can get you that information.
Thank you. Operator, put in through our next caller.
The next question comes from the line of Scott Straser from Calgary Herald and Sun. Your line is open.
Thank you. I believe this question would be for Minister Dreeshen, but just curious how these new rules provincially would dovetail with what Calgary has already introduced through bylaw amendments earlier this year. I noticed the 200-meter exclusion radius is the same, but I believe Calgary's fine is higher. So I'm curious, would a company be required to pay fines to both the city as well as the province, or would one supersede the other?
So this is a minimum. So the 200-meter that radius that Calgary introduced, this is matching that, and then now obviously making that province-wide. And then when it comes to the fine, any municipality could increase the fine amount or increase the radius amount to whatever they would obviously choose. But this is just a standard base that we wanted to establish across the entire province.
Follow up.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, follow-up is unrelated, but it's also for Minister Dreeshen, and it's about the Calgary to Banff proposed rail project. What do you think about that project potentially being included as a project in the national interest under Bill C-5? Because there is a group of mayors in Calgary, Cochrane, Canmore, and Banff that have penned a letter to Prime Minister Carney to see if that could be made possible.
So first off, I would say that Alberta's passenger rail master plan is coming soon. It's going to be announced later this month, which will actually sequence all the different rail projects across Alberta and when and how they could be interconnected to themselves. So that work is underway, and obviously the main key arteries of that plan are commuter rail in and around Edmonton, going to their airport as well as downtown, and then the exact same for Calgary. And then obviously the possibility of a rail line, a high-speed rail line in between Edmonton and Calgary. So that passenger rail master plan is coming out soon. When it comes to Bill C-5 and the system in which the federal Liberals have set up certain projects being able to skirt federal developmental rules, not having to go through Bill C-69, the Federal Impact Assessment Act, or other federal rules, that is still wait and see. I know all provinces were asked to put together a list of what their priorities are, but to my knowledge, it's still unclear of how many, if any, projects from any provinces are going to be included in this Bill 5 workaround from the existing federal development laws.
Thank you. Operator, do we have any other callers?
There are no more questions at this time.
Excellent. That concludes our announcement. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.